Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of Meds and Magic. My name is Samantha. I'm a holistic nurse practitioner, and I am so honored to have with me Miss Ashley Mitchell, who's going to share with us a bit of her journey, just overall, first of all, because again, this is something that I always talk about is healing does not happen in silo, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, we are talking about breast cancer specifically as a diagnosis, as a healing journey, but how it fits in the landscape of your own personal evolution as a person, as a soul.
Yes.
So I'm so grateful for her to be willing to share a bit of her story, her trials, her journey, and sort of what's the ongoing process, right? So thank you, Ashley. I would love for you to just kind of start, just give us sort of like where you were at the time of your diagnosis, like where you were in your life. If we can
Mhm.
transport back there just a little bit to set the stage, like I'd love to hear that. And I know the listeners would like to know that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Samantha, for having me
You're
here.
welcome.
Appreciate all the work that you're doing to lift up our stories
Yeah.
so that we can all work together in this communal healing. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. So let's transport back to 2018. Make it August. And so I had
Okay.
just had my well woman exam. I'm like, I was faithful, and going to the
Yes.
doctor, getting my annual, all the things. She checked me out. I'm good. And at that time in my life, I would say I was definitely in a hustle mentality
Okay.
of I need to have a 9 to 5. I need to have a 5 to 9 and probably like a 10 to 1, because I have to have all the things. That was the thing that I believed, that I have to have all the things right now. I need to
Okay.
be at the pinnacle of my career. I
Yeah.
need to be the perfect wife. I also, at the same time, need to be the perfect parent on top of coming up with innovative ideas that are going to change the world and leave me a multimillionaire in like 2 years.
Okay. So can I pause for a
Yeah.
second? Because that is so many of our stories that we are like, a lot of times we don't even realize that we're operating out of that programming. Like, so the fact that you were able to, like, this is where I was mentally, emotionally, dreams, like, this is where I was. And I think a lot of us need to sit with where are we right now, because I can probably bet that at that point in your life you weren't doing a lot of nourishing of yourself.
Absolutely not. It was Orange Theory Fitness 2 times a week, running 3 times a week, because I have to be at the top and I
Yeah.
have to be perfect. Like, people
Yeah.
talk about being at the top, but for me, it truly was that internal drive driven by fear. Like, I will call it
Mm,
out and name it, but I have to be perfect. I have to show people, specifically black people, not that I'm better than, but like, look, we can do it. We
yeah.
can have the 6 figure job. We
Yeah.
can have what people think is the perfect marriage, the perfect child. And you know what? I'm over here taking care of my body. Now,
Yeah.
Orange Theory Fitness, this high intensity hit
Yeah.
plus, training for 10Ks, all of this stuff. Body might have been screaming, but I surely was not listening.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's honest, the goodness, truth, and facts that a lot of people are out here in that grind because that's what they're taught is the way to excel, right?
Absolutely.
We talk about Black excellence, right? And it's a beautiful thing to witness, but we also need to take in balance, like the cost of that
Yes.
sometimes is detrimental to our mental state, our physical state, and some of us carry that. I can say sometimes even for me, it felt burdensome, to be honest with you. Um,
Yeah.
I think about my mom who raised us and prioritized education in a family that really, were more working class, were more, we were just starting to sort of come out of like poverty as a family. And
Mm-hmm.
my mom saw education as the path forward for that. And
Yeah.
so she started with her little family And it was like we didn't talk like anybody else in my family. We didn't do the same things. We were like, because she had this ideal, right? Of they are gonna make it. And it was like you said, fear-based, right? They're gonna make it. They're not gonna struggle like I struggled. They're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna hang around the hood rat kids or whatever in Baltimore, And so
Yep.
it literally the pressure for perfection. And I talked to her. I've had a few come to Jesus moments with my mama. And then I'm so
Mhm.
glad we're getting into this because this is a part of your healing journey, right?
Absolutely.
Specifically breast cancer. I am convinced by all the people that I've worked with, that I've spoken with in my clinical practice, like your relationship with your own femininity and the
Yes.
women in your life, it is connected. It is
Wholeheartedly agree.
connected. So I've had lots of come to Jesus moments with my mama. And I was just like, Mama, now look, I know you didn't intend
Hmm.
to traumatize me with this crazy ass ideals of what it means to be perfect.
Hmm.
However, there's a part of me, and now I know I was such a sensitive child, where that was too much for me, and it was crushing the weight of that pressure, and I just wanted to make you happy. I wanted to please you. I wanted to, and no hair out of place. No, my mama gonna snatch me up. I gotta.
Yep.
So literally, I'm so glad that you spoke to at that point. That was sort of like the backdrop energy of what was going on before the manifestation of this physical disease. It's important so I'm so glad. So go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that piece is what I will share next of what was the symptom. Like as I mentioned earlier, August 2018 had my woman exam on my birthday. Nothing. Doctor felt nothing. And at that time, my family was moving to St. Louis. So imagine you have a 2-year old, you're getting ready to leave a state that you've been in for 12 years, moving, to a state with I still call them my in-loves, moving to in-love. So new city, new place and new job. And I'm like, okay, like I'm doing it. I'm making it. And the one symptom that I had throughout all of this time, fatigue.
Okay.
And I'm talking about a fatigue where I'm like,
Mm,
I just got to take a nap. Like that was a regular thing. So much
yeah.
so I was on birth control at the time and I thought, you know what, like let me come off this to see
Mm-hmm.
if it's doing something because it was just a different level of tired where no amount of sleep, no amount of naps, I felt
Mm,
like I couldn't shake it. And
yeah.
so to these moments that you talk about being present in the pause, that's how I found the lump in the presence of laying on the couch because I was tired. My
Yep.
child is playing. He asked me to pick him up. So imagine you're laying on your side, picking up a 2-year-old, and I just happened to brush the side of my breast, and I said,
Hmm.
"Oh wait a minute, like, what is that?" And
Yeah.
I at that moment I wasn't worried because I'm like, I had had a cyst before, and so I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
okay. And this is the thing. We got to listen to our inner voice
Oh my
because
gosh.
like,
I'm sorry, but
yeah,
yes. Go.
yeah, we have to listen to it because like I said, it was November. So, we went from August to November of just being tired. No other symptom, like nothing. Like I'm working out all these things. Pick up my son Clark and felt the lump. And I'm like, that's weird. I hadn't, felt it. Didn't, it all of the symptoms that they say of like, does it not move? Does it
Right.
feel lumpy? Or written. I'm like, no, it feels kind of smooth. I can like move it around with my finger, like nah. And so, I let my then husband at the time know. I'm like, hey, I felt this. He was like, okay, we're not worried because I'm 34.
You just went to the doctor.
I just went to the doctor. But again, it was that Ashley, check on yourself. Like you
Yeah.
deserve to be well. You deserve to be healthy. So, if it's still there in a couple days, reach out to your doctor.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Because I was new in the city, I had not yet set up my primary practitioner because I
Okay.
just had one in August.
Right. Right.
I mean, and so I reach out to, an office. They're like, oh, we can see you in February. And I'm like, now here's where worry started to set in because I was like, well, this lump is still here. February, we
Mhm.
talking November, December, January, February. That's 4 months from now. Like I can't
Mhm.
wait 4 months to see somebody. So I reached out to the hospital in St. Louis. I think it was BJC. They were like, they had I was what do you call it? Like I just reached out to the mammography department and they were like, oh, you need a
Yeah.
referral. I was like, well, I don't have a doctor yet, so I don't have the referral. And then they were like, well, go back to the PCP. And I said, now see, I don't like this runaround. So then I called my dad, who is a pediatrician. I was
Yes.
like, Daddy, I feel like I'm getting a runaround. Like, what can I do? And he was like, well, let the reach out to the department again and let them know
Okay.
that you're going to go to the ER
Okay.
and tell them that you were denied being seen by two people for this acute lump that you have mentioned.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, it worked because the day before Thanksgiving, I was able to get an appointment with the doctor.
Wow. So I want to pause here because this this is so important to highlight because oftentimes I know of clients that I've had personally over the
Hmm.
years who literally because of this encounter with the medical system, right? Which is not this is not a off.
Right.
This is a regular thing that
Regular.
many women, black women deal with, right? This sense
Hmm.
of not being seen, not being heard, getting the runaround. And that can be like for real triggering to people.
Yes.
And they just want to like, okay, well, just forget it. Like, but the fact that you again was like, I'm not gonna forget it. Like, this is my body. This is my temple. This is my life here. And so I don't care how much of a runaround people, I'm going to advocate for myself. Right. And so I love
Absolutely.
that you did that.
Yeah. And I had a dear cousin. She has passed, but she was also going through breast cancer for like the third or fourth time at the very same time. And I was like, no, she is fighting too hard for me to not fight for myself. And be like, let's
Mm,
just see what's going on.
hmm.
And so saw the doctor. She was like, yep, I do feel a lump. Let's go set you up for a ultrasound. They did the ultrasound, like, yep, we see it. They were like, okay, we now
It
need
was
to get
not a cyst
it.
at the
Right.
ultrasound.
They were like, not a cyst. And for me, like I can overanalyze at times. So I'm like, wait a minute now. They done pulled out the ultrasound. I'm reading people's faces, and
Mm,
so they're like, we need a biopsy. As soon as they said we need a biopsy, so remember this time span is week of Thanksgiving to now we're at about the second week in December. So
okay.
kind of short and compressed.
It's
We got the
moving.
holidays coming up.
Hmm.
And so I was like, biopsy. And I'm like, now, when they said biopsy is when I started, the
Yeah.
anxiety started coming up. Cause I'm like, biopsy, like if it's, you can't tell from the mammogram, like something is there.
Yeah.
And so to your point of where was I? It was December 19th, 2018. I was at my in-laws house washing clothes. I had on my maroon corduroy pants that I love, my black shirt, and a green scarf.
Yeah.
Doctor calls me and she says, Ashley, it's cancer. For me, my anxiety comes out as laughter. I was like, huh? She just said, what? Well, I said, wait a minute. So the doctor says, you have cancer. From what we can tell, it's triple positive, which is so important in this health journey, which means
Yeah. Break it down.
the protein that our body needs for us to be human was fueling the growth of the tumor, and
Okay.
also estrogen and progesterone. All of these hormones that our body needs. So the very thing that I need is fueling this thing
Wow.
that could take my
So you
life.
said it's estrogen, progesterone,
And
and what was the third one?
the third one is HER2. So it was
HER2.
HER2 positive. So that's the protein where it's like, and she, and I started to zone out because I'm like, oh,
Right.
you had me at cancer. So you're saying
Right.
all of these things. And she was like, but the
We
good
need
thing
another
is,
conversation, sis, because
right.
I need to I need to process.
I mean, the whole thing. Like, again, this is the phone call. I'm
Yeah.
here, washing clothes in the middle of my workday. She said, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you on over to the breast surgeon. She's like, the good thing about, you being triple positive is that we have a lot of treatment. She's like, now
Okay.
the other pieces, it is aggressive. Like,
Okay.
and so all I hear is, wait, it's good for me to have this type of breast cancer. It is
Wait.
aggressive, and we'll talk to the surgeon 2 days after Christmas.
Oh
So
my
this is
goodness.
December 19th, okay? And you
How
want
was
to know
your
what?
holidays?
Well, let's talk about that day because it was my mother-in-law had come in the kitchen because she knew I was expecting, a
Yeah.
call. She said, I saw your face and I knew. So she gave me a hug. I cried for probably about 45 seconds. And
Mm.
then I had a call that afternoon for work. And so I went back to work.
Mm. How did you feel at the time? Because hindsight is a whole bunch of.
Of course.
But at the time, did you feel like I needed to just push through? This was just a natural pre-programmed response. Like, where were you where like that was okay for you to do, not to take a day?
Yeah, not to take, I mean, not to take 5 minutes.
Right.
I would definitely say it was pre-programmed
Okay.
from the mentality because I saw my mother. My mother is also a cancer survivor, so
Okay.
colon and thyroid cancer. Uh, I saw her journey for thyroid cancer, and it was, well, if my mama can do it, I have to do it. If
Mm-hmm.
my cousin is fighting, I have to do it. Like, there's no space
Mm-hmm.
for me, not only as Ashley, but as a black woman who, at that time I called myself like a leader in this world.
Yeah.
I can't take a break.
Mm.
So
Mm.
there was no, like I shared with you earlier, my prayer. Like, I prayed my prayer in the car ride to go get my child, and that prayer was, Lord, please don't let this sickness be unto death.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be here to raise my child.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't let this be the cause of the
Mm.
breakup of my marriage.
Mm.
And then it was like, God help me learn whatever lesson you want me to learn in this.
Okay.
That
Okay.
that was that was it. I have to be here for my child.
Yeah.
I have to still be like that prayer for my marriage wasn't even on like, oh, I'm worried. Like, because I wasn't worried about my marriage back then. It was, oh my goodness, I don't want to be a burden to my husband that
Uh,
causes an issue.
gotcha.
So, it
Gotcha.
still wasn't like, Ashley, how you taking care of yourself? Like, how,
Yes. That is so, like, I'll often tell people who are doing this sort of inner healing work along with like lining up the integrative type of medical stuff to align with their health and wellness. I say you don't have to look far to uncover like these belief systems that you have, these subconscious. People think subconscious is so buried. I say the subconscious lives on your body and your behavior.
come on now.
Period. So if you can look at your life and see, oh, the first few things that I thought about were like other people. The first, my taking time and space to care for my body and nourish myself was not even on my list at all. When I am confronted with an illness to me in my body,
About me.
it's about you. It's about you.
Yeah.
And you're nowhere on the list. That's information. That's data. That's gold. That's golden data.
And and how many times and how long have we been programmed to
Yes.
think in that way?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
as women, and I'm talking to us, like, and specifically as black women, because
Yeah.
let's talk about it. We, for those who care deeply about the community, we
Yeah.
hold our community, we hold our families, we hold our dreams like above our actual self.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it is the internal push, for a future time. Like, how can we reframe pushing for others? Like, how about if you fight for yourself, that is actually pushing for
Hmm.
others? If I take
Absolutely.
care of myself, I'll actually be better in taking care of others. But to your point, I mean, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing. So,
So
you
you went
know,
to work
went
that
to work.
day.
Yeah, picked up my child from daycare.
Hmm.
Again, told my husband at the time with on the couch, like, I have cancer.
Mm.
Okay, well, we'll get through it.
Yep.
And it was, I think, I don't remember at the time, but because we were in St. Louis and my family was in Chicago, like we alternate, where we would go for Christmas.
Hmm.
I believe that might have been like a St. Louis year, but I was like, can we please go to Chicago, before we do
Yeah.
this? And he was like, sure, so went to
Okay.
Chicago, super short. Like we came in on Christmas Eve and we left the day after because I need to see the doctor on December 27th.
Yeah.
So only people that I had told at that time were my parents and my brother. I didn't share it with any other friends because I wanted to get through the holidays.
Okay.
And I did not want, again, to the point, I did not
Not want to be a
want
burden
my
to anybody.
family.
You ain't trying to mess up other folks' holidays, thinking about you.
Yep. I was like, I don't want people to be sad. I don't know all the details, so I'll just wait. And so, go
Yeah.
see the breast surgeon, meet the oncologist, and they're like, yeah, you're going to have 52 weeks of treatment. So that's going to be chemotherapy. Will determine like how you respond to the chemotherapy will determine whether or not we do a lumpectomy or a mastectomy. You also need the immunotherapy, and you're looking at a minimum of 5 years of maintenance therapy. I get the injection and a pill to basically suppress the estrogen, put me in medical menopause to reduce the likelihood of recurrence. Because again, I said cancer is aggressive. It grows on hormones. Like we gotta tamp this down.
Mm.
Did I take time off? No. I let my employer know in January, hey, like have cancer, but don't worry about me. Like I'm going to schedule my treatments
On
on
your vac
Thursdays.
I was about to say on your vacation days, please no.
Oh no, I didn't take vacation. See, Samantha, like I didn't even take vacation. It was,
Um,
hey, I'm going to schedule my chemo treatments on Thursdays so that I start to feel sick on Friday. It's gonna slam into me like a truck on Saturday and Sunday, and I'll be ready for work on Monday. And that's what I
wow.
did.
Yeah.
I took off 2 days of those 52 weeks, one for the lumpectomy. And there, I don't remember the other time, but I know it was like one more day. Out of
Mhm.
52 weeks, I take off two for the illness that I am fighting.
Wow. Question for you, because
Hmm.
I'm super interested in sort of throughout this process, was there ever a time where you sort of felt like, is there another path? Like, did you interview people as far as your providers? Did you like, or did you like, okay, you tell me I got to do A, B, C, D? Yeah, we doing A, B, C, D.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say again, so I'm close with both of my parents. I'm definitely like close with my daddy. So it was going to daddy. I do have a lot of medical practitioners in my family. And
Okay.
so think like raising that question is like I have a resource that many other people may not have.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always the okay, the doctor said this,
Okay.
daddy. Like, please talk to the breast care team over here. Like, is this the thing? Like, should I be
Mhm.
doing this? And that's what it was. Where I would send, I'm like, yes, he has permission to view my records or whatever. Like, I'm sending him my records to
I
be like,
love
this
that.
is what they said, Daddy. What do you think? What needs to be adjusted? I had other cousins who were connecting me to some of the holistic methods out there, but also too is like ask these questions.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law, she was a retired nurse, and so she too was saying, okay, ask these questions. Do
Okay.
not go to any of your visits by yourself. And I would tell anybody that, like, do not go to
Mm.
any visit by yourself because as you are going through this, You need somebody there who can actually see you and the doctor,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's
be able to
so important.
advocate. So yeah, absolute. There was no like, oh, doctor said, I have to do. No, no, no. It was a fight all along the way, because
Yes.
I'm like, this is me, and
Yeah.
I get one life. And again, the driving force for me, even above my marriage, it was my son. Like,
Okay.
I cannot leave him, and I have to
Okay.
be well enough to raise him well.
Yeah. I love that for you and in your journey, the piece about, maybe self-care and self-nourishment was not a priority, but you brought in your community, which
Yeah.
probably saved your life, honestly,
Yeah.
because we are not meant to heal in silos and isolated. Like you opened up because it takes a degree of vulnerability
Yeah, buddy.
to to open up to your community, right? Especially someone like you that was so driven and so like individual. I'm going bop 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 to let down your guard and be vulnerable enough to like be cared for by other um adults, elders, people with wisdom and knowledge that can pour into you, because that's another integral piece that I feel like we're missing out on in our communities today.
Absolutely. It was, ooh, you take me back. I'm like, I've forgotten this moment. And
Mm,
I'm grateful, because I hope it saves somebody else's life, in that when you talk about bringing in a community, one thing for me was, I have to let people know that I'm going through this journey. This is not like I was on social media, but I wasn't
right.
like on it. Like I post like, oh,
Yeah.
look at me, but like I was like, no, I have to let people know the reality of this journey, because what I thought about breast cancer is not what I'm experiencing. These
Mm,
pink shirts out here, they're not talking to me about how my fertility is impacted about these, with these medicines. They're not
mm,
talking to me about how I am having to navigate working, raising a child, and battling cancer. So for me, it was the, Ashley, put out the real moments that you have and let people know.
mm.
And one of those real moments was, I had put up the selfie of like, like of my hair being cut, because that was the thing. Like my hair was down. I was natural, at the time, but my hair was down to my back, and so it was
Yeah.
big. So for me to for me to
Yeah.
lose, some inches, that was a
I
big. That,
know.
that was real.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm here, and I'm gonna fight. And from there, I actually let my son's school know. And so I will shout out to University City Children's Center
All
in
right.
St. Louis. When we talk about community, to
Mm.
have teachers who set up a meal drive, so that when I would come pick him up, they would have meals ready for my family on the weekends. Other parents, they had meals delivered too. And I tell anybody, I said, it is those real life moments where I am so tired from this medicine. I can barely sit up, because the medicine that is keeping my white blood cell count also causes bone pain that is worse than birthing pains. I can't even describe the state of my body. And yet I have to figure out, what am I feeding my family tonight? And so to have them do that meal train for all, from January to May, for all of my chemo sessions,
Oh my
there
God.
was a teacher there, Melissa Hill, my son's teacher. She washed my child's clothes. She said, Ashley, we're going to make sure that you don't have to do anything extra during this time. So she would take Clark's clothes and wash them. My in-laws came to my house every weekend and washed my clothes. And it was the dignity in it, because you have to
Mm-hmm.
remember, I am an achiever.
Mm-hmm.
I am the eldest daughter. I am the eldest granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
So, not being able to do things that I consider to be basic for my
Mm-hmm.
family, and to have somebody else help me through that, and in a dignified way where I didn't feel like I am a failure.
Right.
How am I failing cancer? Because that was a thing for me. I got to show
Yeah.
people how to do cancer
Cancer,
well.
right?
Like, that was the thing.
Yep.
I got to show how to do cancer well. And if I can't even cook dinner and wash my clothes, who am I, to share this?
Mm.
So that piece, I
Mm.
have forgotten about that. But that piece about community, my sister-in-law would bring me smoothies. My
Mm.
mom and both my parents would come down for, the different treatments. My mother-in-law, she came to, went with me to treatments. I
Yeah.
had family come down from Chicago. Like, don't knowing that I wasn't by myself and that I wasn't being judged, that I wasn't
I
being
was just going
seen
to
as
ask you.
less than. Like,
Oh.
oh, Ashley is weak.
Mm-hmm.
I was just Ashley. And people
Mm-hmm.
cared about Ashley. And that
Yes.
means a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting chill bumps just thinking about how, you know, ugh, how God, source, universe, whatever you want to
Hmm.
call it, literally, when you let down your guard and you decide, I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to let in my community. Yeah, I still feel kind of uncomfortable being in this
Hmm.
vulnerable spot. I got these
Yeah.
little, you
Yeah.
looking like this and you not, da, da, da. But you still have this inner courage to be like, I'm going to just ask. I'm just going to receive. I'm just going to
Hmm.
be, and how much when you have that posture, that love, that
Yes.
unconditional God love was embodied and came to you to show you you are worth it, sis. And that don't matter what you look like,
Yeah.
how you performing, that you're
Right.
producing, and
Right.
that none of that matters. Like you are just worthy because you are. Period. Like that's such a blessing. And it's and on so many levels, it's healing.
Yes,
It's healing.
it is.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait, you got me tears in. I'm like,
I
wait a minute
know.
now.
We do that. We do that here. It's no it's part of the process.
Yep, it is. And that's for another time. Like, we got to be able to cry. We have to get this
Yes.
out of our bodies.
Yes, absolutely. It is literally a gift to be able to
Yes.
purge, detoxify, move that energy through our tears, through that
Hmm.
water, right? Like we have to make that shift. I'm so grateful that you like shared about the community aspect because I feel like for a lot of women that part is the most scary because it challenges your sense of who you are,
Whew.
right? And to me, that's an orientation that I want to continually, with grace and compassion, help
Hmm.
women to come to. It's like when you're ill, when you get a diagnosis or get a sickness, like
Hmm.
it literally oftentimes challenges who you think you are.
Absolutely.
It's in some sense is what it is, the alchemy of what it is used for. You have this
Hmm.
resulting illness, this resulting imbalance from whatever years of,
Hmm.
may it be self,
All the things.
going, all the things, right? When you come to that point and you're face to face with your mortality and you have
Hmm.
decisions to make, like in that moment, taking a sort of a not a global view, but a step at like a life view.
Hmm.
Would you say that you were able to do that during your process? Or is it more like after the fact now that you were like walking the road of recovery, walking the
Mm.
road of prevention? Now you see the importance of like cancer didn't just happen in a bubble. It's a shift of my life.
Samantha, you already know we have several conversations here, so I'm a reel it in to be
Okay.
as concise as I can.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yes, cancer was a moment that was one of those big catalysts. So I
Hmm.
would say I had started, and this is where it's in part important to listen to that inner voice.
Amen.
I would say the moment for me that's when I started taking life view was when I had my son. Again,
Okay.
the reality of what I thought motherhood was going to look like as a high achieving black woman did not match my expectations.
Okay.
I was on bed rest with him. I'm thinking I was going to be out here running 5K. Again, showing people that pregnant black people, we can run 5Ks. Laid out, boo. Laid out. Now you laying in the bed. You can't walk without help. Uh, it was not like
Hmm.
my pregnancy was not what I had expected, but I didn't feel
Mm.
like I had a village to talk to because am I doing it wrong? Like everybody
Yeah.
else is out here glowing and cute, and I'm like my feet swollen, but I almost pass out when I walk. Like this
Yeah.
ain't that, And so
Yeah.
that for me, like when my son was about one, I said, you know what, let me lean into like some leadership life
Okay.
coaching.
Okay.
And so I'm like, all these people that I did not know to shout out, but I'm like, here they are. Sharma Graham, she and her husband have, made coaching. And I worked with
Uh-huh.
Sharma for almost a year. And that's really when I started the
Mm.
journey of I actually am enough without
Mm.
doing. Like
Okay.
there's the period right there. Like I am enough without doing, and knowing that, using that as my reference point. How do I want to be in the world with
Yeah.
that as my foundation?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so cancer, like that, those were that was 2 years before, so cancer
Mm-hmm.
was like bling, bling, bling. And
Yeah.
the learning, like part of the journey in the cancer was, I said, Ashley, you can either stay in what has been comfortable
Uh,
of you are living the life that you want people to think is perfection. You're married, you have a child, you have, a quote unquote prestigious job. Like you got it in the
mhm.
bank, boo. Like,
Yeah.
and so it wasn't until maybe about 5 months in that I started to process, because the piece about chemotherapy is you have your sessions, you go down, and it for me it was every 3 weeks. So it would be this cycle of I am at the bottom, cannot get out of bed, slowly, slowly, slowly getting up. I'm working out, and by the end hitting bottom again. So that's doing
Yeah.
something to my mental psyche of I
Yeah.
know that hard is coming. So I would say I didn't
Yeah.
process during the chemotherapy.
That was just survival
Right.
type.
That was straight up survival. I
Okay.
started processing after the lumpectomy, where it hit me of, wait a minute. I froze my eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are telling me that I'm going to have to start taking the medicine for the estrogen suppression in September. So I had the lumpectomy in June of 2019. They were telling me like, okay, we want to see how your body's responding, but we're going to start on the Zoladex and the Letrozole in September. And so it was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. If my estrogen is going to be suppressed, that means I can't get pregnant because it's menopause. And it was
Mm.
that slap in the face of, wait a minute, are you telling me that, like, I thought I was gonna have 2 or 3 kids? You telling me I can't even try to have kids for another 5 years?
Wow.
So that's when some rage started.
Yes.
Of
Yes.
like, this is not fair.
Yep.
Why is this happening to me? I don't want to see a pregnant person. I don't want to see no pink, no blue, no nothing. It went into
Yeah.
that, of like, no. And so I'm grateful that my inner circle was small, because I'm like, the extendeds, I'm like, I ain't going to no baby showers. I don't want to see,
Yeah.
because I am holding something that like that was a part of my
Yeah.
identity of being a mother to multiple children.
Yeah.
Like, period, full stop. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And so, I told my oncologist like the rage I was feeling. She was like, well, maybe you should see a psychiatrist. So I went to the free one that they have. Nothing against her, but she gave me
Right.
some worksheets on happiness. Ma'am, a worksheet on happiness is not helping me process my fertility. It is not helping me process who I am, having to rethink who is Ashley.
Yes.
Like, I don't want no worksheet on happiness. I don't want
No.
that. So,
No.
needless to say,
And you have to have a person. No, I'm so glad you brought that rage up, because you have to, number one, yes, for community and having a safe space to express, like, express that. And
Mhm.
also you have to like have a person that you're working with that understands that that anger is literally a mask for grief. You are
Mm.
grieving the person, the mother that you thought you were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have somebody who understands that. That's not going to just try to be like, oh, you're angry. Let's make you happy. No.
Yeah.
There's a grief here. There's a restructuring of my identity that's required. So I have
Yes.
to walk those steps with compassion, with
Yes.
spaciousness, right? Slowly, um, softly, like, so yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up because I'm all for mental health providers, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that just like how you did with your clinical team, making
Mm-hmm.
sure that you reached out, you got what you needed, you challenged things, you questioned things with your team. I think the same thing needs to be happening with our mental health providers as well, right?
Absolutely.
Did you
Yeah.
ever integrated that in your walk, like, or not really? Like, did you ever go to counseling, find that right therapist that can help? Okay, good.
Yeah, so I would say prior to cancer, I had gone to therapy on and off, for maybe like
Hmm.
3 to 6 months at a time, and then I would be like, oh, I'm fine again. Versus now, like I have a practitioner, Tiffany Rogers,
Hmm.
amazing. I've been seeing
Hmm.
her for 3 years, and I tell anybody this. I said, I'm so glad. I started seeing her the day that my grandfather died. And
Hmm.
so that's how I came in hot and heavy, like, hey, my grandfather just died this morning. Yep, first session. She's like, okay. Uh, and so, like, she has walked alongside me through divorce. She has walked alongside me through, like, the serious injuries that I've had. And I tell her
Hmm.
with gratitude every time. I said, I'm so grateful that I decided to stay with you in this walk past the acute portion of divorce. I said, because that allows me to do the continued healing
Yes.
for Ashley, not
Yes.
Ashley as wife. But now we
Mhm.
get to, we're taking off certain layers. No, Ashley at my innermost being, we get
Yes.
to start healing that. So I would say
Yes.
when you find the right person, they are a wonderful, help and support.
Yeah, that resource. And I I want to know for you, um, right now, being in that maintenance phase, right? You're in
Hmm.
maintenance phase right now. Um, for you, what what would you tell that Ashley back then? Like, you know, like I said, you got through that, right? When you needed to survive, you survived. When you needed to ask for help, you asked for help. Given the different lessons that have come after that, right? Because
Hmm.
a lot of times we don't get the lesson then. We make it through and we figure out, but then they still be coming back. Like they don't go away. The lessons come. So what would you tell that Ashley, given that you've noticed like some stuff, these patterns still keep showing up?
Oh man,
What
I
kind
would
of
tell that
advice? Because
Ashley.
this is important for people that maybe just starting their journey,
Yeah,
you know?
I would tell that Ashley so many things. And the first one would be rest is a part of your prescription.
Mm,
Same way we take whatever pill, same way you get whatever shot, whatever infusion, prescribe yourself some rest.
yes, and amen. Mm,
Because, like I said, I work there. I have photos of me taking selfies working in the hospital. Like when I was in radiation treatment, I was hospitalized, like my asthma flared up. I literally called my then husband, hey, can you bring my headphones and my computer? Because I'm at least work while I'm in the hospital. Like that's how warped my thinking was.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I would tell myself, Ashley, rest is your prescription. So I'm going to prescribe you rest
absolutely.
XYZ times a day, all of these things.
Mm,
Another another thing that I would tell myself is, Ashley, The true you is enough. Not the performing you, not the perfect you, not the achiever you,
Yeah.
not the people pleasing you. You with your quirky self who loves big earrings, will color your hair, will wear whatever you want to wear. That you,
Yeah.
you're enough.
Yeah.
Because certain decisions that I made during that time in my life, I did because I thought I wasn't enough as a human.
As is.
And I thought I had to do all of these things to prove to the world that I'm
Mhm.
worthy of love, that I am worthy of care, that I am
Mhm.
worthy of being seen as important when I
Mhm.
already was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, though, rest and knowing that I am enough and then my behavior lines up with that enoughness, that is what I would tell myself back
Mhm.
then because I know without a shadow of a doubt that I would have made different decisions. Um, and
Mhm.
right now, I don't, because regret can be funny. I don't
It can.
hold those regrets,
Right.
I hold them as anchor lessons
Mhm.
of you dropped an anchor at that moment in your life.
Mhm.
That anchor is there, like the rope to that anchor was tied, but that anchor is going to be there. So
Yeah.
when it comes up, acknowledge it because it's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
And how are you going to behave differently? How are you thinking differently so that
Yeah.
you can break some of these cycles and patterns, that you have been.
Yes. Yes, full word. It's a good one. And I know for a fact that as I'm listening to you and you sharing the authority to which you are be able to stand in your own power and speak to that version of you, like the resonance. I mean, I was just like, this is truth right here. This is absolute truth, like self-love on a deep, deep level. All the versions of love, acceptance, that compassion, that forgiveness. Like this is all the levels of deep love that we enoughness and worthiness. That is the path to healing. That is the essence of healing. We just don't know in our like traditional medical models how exactly all of the neurochemicals and endocrine pathways of of regret, of not feeling enough, not we don't know how those patterns are affecting our biochemistry. What we do know is that stress, being in fight or flight, feeling like you always got to survive and make it to the next moment, creates a toxic environment for our bodies and makes it conducive for illness, and
Absolutely.
chronic disease and things like that. So the fact that you were able to like see that, convey that to yourself, I hope. What practices do you have now that remind yourself of that? Because honestly, that those versions of us still live with us. Like,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? So how are you? And to me, that is an embodiment of like the divine mother, the divine feminine, which I love to think about source and God in this way as like you have a divine father, that protector, that divine container. But also you have a divine mother, that compassion, that acceptance, receptivity. So when you speak of like the self-love, that deep self-worth, to me it's like, well, okay, how do you invoke that divine feminine energy in your day-to-day life now?
Yes. Oh, see, Samantha, I mean, you're hitting on all the
I
things.
know.
Because you're hitting on all the things. Because it's been almost a year where I said I wanted to lean back into my femininity, like
Yes,
intentionally. Where I said,
yes,
you know what, I'm going to buy dresses, not just for
yes,
church, not just for,
yes,
special occasions, but like, I just want to wear a dress.
yes.
I just want to be like Let me be flowy. And flowy doesn't
Yes.
mean frail. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I want that lightness.
That part.
Yeah. And I said, now, I know we soft life, that's a whole nother thing. But I said, I do want to live softly
Yeah.
because real talk, that achiever, that drive, it
Mhm.
takes a certain level of energy
Yes.
to
Yes.
keep pushing, like, no, I got it, I got it, I got it. And if we're giving out that same energy and we're not to the point
Hmm.
of refilling it, I mean, I see something out of balance here, So
Absolutely.
for
We're
me,
so out of balance of that because, again, I want to speak to people that have a gifting of accomplishing things
mhm,
and getting stuff done and be like, that is a gift and nobody's trying to take that away from you.
right.
It's out of balance
Yes.
because you are now operating out of fear, which is that low vibration versus this is my highest self expressing itself, right? And I've already had a season of rest
Hmm.
and being dormant and and now I'm in my season of I'm about to make things happen. Like we're not living like that.
Right.
And that's causing the problem. So I just wanted to point out that nobody's saying like no, boo to like achiever. Like no, like that's what you were gifted in. However,
Hmm.
it is not sustainable to constantly be in that mode.
Yeah. And that's the thing of like how I'm living into it is understanding like what is my season and what are the cycles that I'm in. Like seeing seasons as a gift and seeing cycles
Yeah.
as a gift. So concrete things I have on my bedroom wall, I my faith walk, is with God. And so for me,
Yeah.
like in biblical times, people created altars to
Yeah.
remember. So for
Yeah.
me, everybody who knows me knows this is I use sticky notes on my wall. This is my
Okay.
altar to remind me when things get hard. And one of them on there is I beat breast cancer. I survived divorce. To
Mm-hmm.
remind me I did those things, not as like,
Yeah.
okay, keep pushing, but
Yeah.
to remember and honor that part of my life. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing is I celebrate December 26th. So my last treatment, I call it my belated Christmas gift was December 26th. So it is whether it's a post, whether it's, I'm gonna take myself out that day. That's my gift. I
Mm.
got the gift of life. And
Yes.
so like I honor myself in that. And then like lifestyle practice, absolutely resting. I'm taking a nap. I will quickly tell my son, Mommy gotta go take a nap.
Yes.
And I go do it.
Oh my gosh. I
I
love that
Yeah.
because people don't understand. And I love that we're shifting as a culture into valuing rest. We have like our beautiful like sister that rest is resistance.
Yes.
Like we're waking up to that. And I love that you said you prescribed yourself. You will prescribe yourself rest. I have a vision that one day our medical system will help people that aren't there. They will say, actually, I'm prescribing you rest. You may not know that you need rest for yourself, but I'm here to
Yes.
help you remember that you need rest for yourself, right? Because
Absolutely.
nobody prescribes you that, during
Yeah.
your yeah. So I have a vision that that will be such a priority in our culture, a deep, deep value, right? That it will
Yes.
be reflected in some of the systems and the, structures that we have. But it got to start with
Yeah. It's
we prioritizing it. We gotta do it.
we have to do it and our children are watching.
Yes.
Because my son has picked up on it. Where
Hmm.
Saturday mornings, especially during that time, okay, I'm gonna do all of my errands. So we're gonna go to Costco, Sam's at that time, Schnucks. We gonna go every single Target, not anymore. We're gonna go everywhere
Yeah. Yeah.
between 8 and 12. Oh, let me get a mommy and me class here at 1 o'clock. Let me make sure I read a little Einstein book at 2. Whew. Like that was the day. Versus now, he will tell me, and I'm like, okay, these are the small nudges of it.
Yes.
It's taking root. Where he was like, I said, yeah, buddy, we need to go to, the grocery store, and we got to go pick these things up. He's like, mommy, can we do one of those things tomorrow? Do we have to do all of those things today? And I said, you know what? You're right, buddy. I actually don't have to do all of those things today. I said, so we'll go to the grocery store and I'll do that other thing tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it is because what I say to him is I said, buddy, we don't have to do all of this right now. how can we break this up? What do we
Mhm.
actually need to do? And
Yeah.
what can we move on? So it's a practice.
Mhm.
Trust me, there are still some Saturdays where I'm like, whew, I just did all the things. And you wonder why you're tired.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right?
I'm like, it's a practice,
Yeah.
and that, and I would say like connecting with nature intentionally. You know, I'm grateful to be in the Chicagoland area, so we have a plethora of like forest preserves
Okay.
and all of that. You know, all those things where, again, being real, I don't go there by myself because it's the world we
Yeah.
live in. But I'm like, oh, okay, cousin, brother,
Mhm.
son, like, let's
Yeah.
go. And so having those moments to just
Mm.
walk completely unplugged. It's 30 minutes, but I promise you those 30 minutes feel like I've been out there for 3 hours.
It's so good. And it goes back to, I think before we started recording, I was talking to you about how like our brain wants to diminish like the value of taking these small micro moments of
Yeah.
ourselves for ourselves because we're so programmed that it's a productivity mindset, really,
Yeah.
right? That,
Yes.
that is not the best use of your time. And it is for sure not
That's
going to do
correct.
anything to pause for 3 minutes. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like you cannot let those limiting mental constructs that honestly, a lot of it was programmed before we even were aware
Yes.
of it. Most of that
Hmm.
stuff don't even belong to us. But we
That's
for
correct.
sure can't let that limit us in thinking that taking these small micro moments to choose us, to
Yes.
connect with nature, um, is not everything. It is
Hmm.
literally everything.
Yes.
So don't let your mind trick you that it's not. It
Yeah.
is everything.
Yeah. You know? And to that point, like of mind tricks, like last but not least, use your PTO. Use all of it. Cause when I say like that's the life I live now, like I know I need some
Mm.
days. So I take off the days, when my son is out of school, and you bet your bottom dollar, depending on how many I have, at least once a month I'm scheduling a day for me, and I
I
don't have
love
a
it.
schedule. Like that's the thing. I used to take off days for me and be like, I'm gonna go get my hair done. I'm gonna go get this. No, the days that I take off now, I go work out, and it's like, it's a day, and it is my practice of
Mhm.
I'm not setting an agenda for today. I'm going to exist, and that is enough. And it took me these 3 years to get here. So I want to be really
Yes.
clear. It wasn't like, oh, she came out of cancer and now she's taking PTO and not. No, I just told you I didn't take off any days in
Yeah.
a whole year going through cancer to now being like, okay, like it's been a journey. And so I'm sitting in it though now yeah, I make sure to take off the day. I'm not double working, on the days when my son is off. Nope, I lived through that with COVID, not doing that. And like if I'm going to be present cuz it's a disservice to him.
Yes.
Mommy, you're off, but mommy's still here working. No, where it's like no. And that's what I tell him like if you're going to be present with somebody, be fully present.
I'm
So,
so glad that was the last point that you brought up because number one, being patient with yourself. Like things don't magically just happen, even when you get like a huge disruption of cancer diagnosis. Like
mhm.
there's still sometimes shifting that needs to happen that's slow. So being patient and compassionate with yourself. And then two, like the dedication and commitment. I'm telling you right now, as I'm hearing you speak, I'm totally confident that the version of you that led up to you experiencing this cancer is not the same version, right?
Mm-mm.
So even speaking to sometimes, I'm sure the fear of recurrence and the
Oh yeah.
fear of that kind of stuff creeps up, but really understanding that through these shifts and these choices, you are a completely different you
Yeah.
than that before, right?
Yeah.
And so addressing the fear head on and just reminding yourself by looking at your altar, by reminding yourself, like, I have to address the fear. And I did it once, I can do it again,
Yeah.
if so be it, right?
There
But
we go.
also, I'm taking the time to nourish myself. My body is healing every time I rest, every time I choose me,
Mm.
every time I take my time off, every time I take a breath. my body is healing itself. It is a self-contained, miraculous
Yes.
entity that's doing the work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I just am super grateful for you sharing that. Super grateful for you just coming on to the show and sharing everything. You guys, I'm gonna get with Ashley in any sort of nuggets, any sort of like resources that she found helpful at the time. I'm gonna compile them and have it attached to this episode because I really believe that storytelling, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sharing our stories and being in community with each other is the path forward to a more holistic way of healing that's sustainable, right? And that leads us to this soft life, right? Is literally being vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's the first
Yeah.
being vulnerable. That's the essence of softness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna get with her and have that for you guys later. And so just thank you so much, Ashley,
Thank you.
for joining us. You guys don't forget to click subscribe, share this with your friends, other women that may be going through this, that you know needs to hear this. We have to do this together in order to sort of make these shifts and change our world one conversation at a time. So thanks again. We'll see you next time. Bye.